And Danielle, I'm just going to make you my co-host for tonight. So, thank you very much for joining me and the lovely Danielle tonight. And tonight's training session is all about World Book Day. Danielle, if you wouldn't mind helping me with the waiting room while I am talking initially, just letting people in because I think people will join in dribs and drabs. But thank you very much, everyone, for joining us this evening. So tonight is all about World Book Day for 2026. And if you're a new partner, you might be thinking, why are you talking about World Book Day? It's November. But as you will find out from Danielle, who I'm sure already has events booked in for World Book Day, this is a great time to book them in. And if you are a new partner, and you are maybe dipping your toes into schools and doing some Christmas fairs or fetes, it's the perfect time to get in with a school and meet them and get those events booked for World Book Day, because you can do some absolutely phenomenal sales over this period. Outside of Christmas, March is our biggest selling month of the year because of World Book Day. So it's an amazing, amazing opportunity for you. So if you are not familiar with World Book Day, so it's slightly confusing because there is World Book Day that everyone else celebrates. And then in the UK, we thought it'd be fun to celebrate it on a different day in a different month. So it's a global celebration of reading. And in the UK, it's always celebrated on the first Thursday of March. So this March, it's the 5th of March, but next year the 2027 it'll be a different date. But it's always the first Thursday in March is World Book Day. But you will find that you can spread your events from February all the way up to the end of March, because it is just that celebration. You don't have to just do events on World Book Day itself. And outside the UK, everywhere else celebrates it on the 23rd of April. In the UK, World Book Day is a registered charity, and their big goal is for every child to own their own book. But I think why you guys are so important is World Book Day issue tokens that children can exchange for a book, but actually the choice of books is quite limited for children. So what you guys do that's so important, I think, is you broaden the range of books that children can choose from and access through the work that you do. And it's celebrated in schools and nurseries, and it is a great opportunity to make a difference. You don't just have to celebrate it with schools and nurseries, you can stretch it as broadly as your imagination will go. But certainly it is one of the highlights of my daughter's year, thinking of which book character often, well, actually, no, last year she went for Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz. That wasn't obscure at all. Sometimes quite obscure. She's been as a fairy unicorn before for World Book Day. So, what can you offer? So school events are the most obvious because schools are actively looking to do things with you. Kids get the pound token. They can then get the pound token, spend it directly with you at your book fair. So you could do a traditional book fair with a school. You could do a sponsored read where for World Book Day week, children are sponsored to read as much as possible, and then the money goes towards new books. If children are dressing up for World Book Day, they could each bring in £1, and that money could then be spent on books for the school and topped up by your free books allowance for the school. So that could be a quick way for schools to add to their totals and get more free books for their school. You could also arrange author events. I imagine a lot of them are booked up already. So if you are working with schools and they're talking about wanting an author for World Book Day, you need to be getting it booked in now, because authors will get booked up really far in advance. Your role in that is then to arrange the author event and to sell the books that children can then get signed by that author. Nurseries as well celebrate World Book Day. So again, you could do a book fair at a nursery. You could do a sponsored listen where the children are sponsored to listen to as many stories as possible, which my son would definitely enjoy. You could go in and do a story time if you wanted to. And again, the nursery could ask children to bring in £1 to dress up as their favourite character, and then that money could be used to purchase books for the nursery, or maybe the school or nursery might want to gift some children a book or have books as prizes and get those for you. Local businesses are your best friends, I think. People do events far and wide, and please put in the chat your favourite local business to collaborate with. I know people have done events with pubs where pubs have paid for a load of books that they then give out to children on the weekend after World Book Day. I know that people have collaborated with independent cafes in their local area where the cafe, again, will do a World Book Day event or encourage families to come along, have a coffee, buy a book and celebrate. And maybe again, you could host a story time at your local cafe and sell books while you were there. There's offices that you could do something with. There's soft plays you could do something for World Book Day with. There's baby and toddler groups that might want to do something with World Book Day. Wherever is local to you, think about, do they want to do something for World Book Day? Do you want to do a look for a book where businesses sponsor books to hide in the local areas? So again, going by that kind of World Book Day premise of every child owning a book of their own, do local businesses want to support you in doing that? Do local scouts or brownies want to raise money to do their own book hunt and spread the joy of reading? Whatever you can think of, it's not a stupid idea. Talk it through with your mentor and see if you can make it happen, but start planning now so you've got those diaries full of bookings. I'm hoping some people have put some things in there. There we go. So Becca likes working with her local swim school. Amy likes working with her local hospital. Oh, that's really nice, actually. The local hospitals, especially like children's wards on local hospitals. If children in hospital on World Book Day, it could be a nice way for them to celebrate World Book Day. Keep popping them in the chat if you've got any other ideas of anything fun you can do in the run-up to World Book Day. So every year we do something a little bit different. Last year was the first year that we had these book packs. So the idea of these is we produce a collection of books and you can get them at a discounted rate. So schools and nurseries can get some new books for their library at a discounted rate. Or again, like local business. I think a lot of people last year got businesses to sponsor these packs for their local school or nursery, which I think is quite a quick and easy way for them to do it. I don't have the what the offer price is going to be yet, because basically we can't calculate an offer price until all the books have arrived in the warehouse, and we have picked quite new titles for this year, so a lot of them haven't been published yet. But as soon as we have the offer prices, we'll let you know those. But these are the books that have been ordered. So that is another great idea, to see if a business want to sponsor a pack of books for a local school. People also used it last year to get school leads, where they said a school or nursery, people could basically nominate their local school or nursery to win a pack of these books. And again, I think they were around, like, there were 30 something pack, like they'll be around the £30 mark, I would guess, this year. So that £30 could get you 20, 30, 40 school and nursery leads, which will earn you far more than £30. So if you're new and you want to quickly build up your schools and nurseries list, this could be a good way to do it, of get people to nominate. And then even the schools and nurseries that don't win, you could email them saying, oh, you were nominated by this school, by this person, wondering if I can help you get some free books, and get the pack for them for free anyway. So the nursery ones, we have got How High is the Sky? So that is quite a, well, it's not published yet, so it's like a first Q&A book, but goes into all sorts of details. If you're in BDP, sorry, you've already heard this, but it goes into quite a lot of scientific detail, I think, which I know my little boy would find really, really interesting. It's pitched perfectly. So on the surface, it appears like just a standard Q&A, but there's a lot of science in there, which I think is great. You've got Peep Inside How a Submarine Works. Again, my son would highly recommend this series. He loves vehicles, as I know loads and loads of children do. And again, it's just that knowledge, like children are like sponges, aren't they? They learn so much about what they're interested in. You've then got Miss Molly's School of Making Friends, again, like a really important social concept. You've got a life cycles book, which we find nurseries tend to love the life cycles series. This one's One Little Bee, but there's quite a lot more in the series. And you've got one of my personal faves, Listening for Llamas, which again, I think is excellent. Just a really fun picture book story with a bit more of a message to it. So that's your nurseries. I think it's a really, really good range this year for nurseries. So hopefully you're pleased with the books on offer. Then we've got 2 primary bundles. The reason for this is we have partners in Italy. Hello, if you are from Italy on this. And if you're in Italy, you cannot offer new books at a discounted rate. Any of the other countries our partners work in, you can sell a book at a discount straight away. You can't in Italy, so we wanted them to be able to have a bundle, but I wanted to be able to choose new and exciting books and discount them for you guys. So that's why there's 2 primary bundles. So it's not to deliberately confuse you, it's because one is full of new books, one isn't, just to ensure that all our partners can access a discounted bundle. So in the primary one, we've got The Big Bad Wolf Murder. So that's the P.G. Bell murder mystery that's based on, very loosely, on the fairy tale of Little Red Riding Hood. So you've got like the Reds, who are the humans, versus the wolves in this big tournament, slightly like Hunger Gamesy, and the main wolf villain is murdered and they think the leader of the Reds did it, and she goes off on the run to try and prove her innocence. You've got lots of things to know about our world. So Lots of Things to Know is a really great series. It's a younger version of 100 Things to Know. 24 Hours, one of my personal favourite series. Every event I've been to recently, kids have asked for more history ones of this, because we've had the Stone Age. I think that was maybe even the first 24 Hours, but we haven't had any other historical ones. And I think my daughter's 7. She loves history. I think it's much more of a thing now that kids seem really fascinated by it. 24 Hours, I think, is one of our best ever series. So we've got one of those. Pia's Pet Club. We've got, you may have seen that one of the £1 books for 2026 is an abridged, like a shorter Pia's Pet Club about an iguana. So we wanted to make sure we had a Pia's Pet Club one in here to tie in with that. And then you've got See Inside AI, which is obviously super, super topical at the moment. The other kind of thought process behind these bundles is that schools or children will get into a series and then they'll want the other books in the series from their lovely Usborne partner. This is the other primary bundle. So these books are not new titles, but they're books that are available to our partners in Italy. But if you're outside Italy, you can obviously buy it too as well. So we have got 100 Things to Know, which is one of our best-selling series in schools. We've got a Billy, which again is a best-selling series. We've got What Happens When You Eat, Book of the Body and How It Works, and Usborne Beginners Giraffes. So some of these books are great for children that are first learning to read, but also children that are learning English as a second language. The Beginners series is particularly great for that. And our partners outside the UK have also repeatedly told me Billy is great too. So we try to go for books where children for whom English isn't their first language, they're more accessible to them. But obviously, these are fab books that lots of children would like too. And then finally, our secondary book bundle. So we've got 100 Amazing Discoveries of Brilliant Scientists. If you haven't come across this book before, it's amazing. So it's like kind of true stories of scientific discovery based on people that were never properly celebrated in their lifetime. Either because they were female or they weren't white, and that's why they weren't recognised as they should have been for their scientific discoveries. So it's like celebrating the unsung scientific heroes. We've got Law for Beginners. So this series breaks down A-level topics into like things that can be easily understood. They're fab. They age up so well. I know a lot of year 6s go mad for these books at book fairs, but they're perfect for secondary, like right up all the way through to A-level at secondary. I think they're perfect for. Social Media Survival Guide, I think, is crucial for young people to navigate, and I'm glad that I didn't have to deal with social media when I was at school, other than MySpace and Bebo were around when I was at school. That's how old I am. But yes, it's a lot for kids to navigate and they can't really escape from it. So really important, I think, for kids to have access to this information. The latest adventure game book, Lightning Rider, is in the secondary bundle. And this book, The Not So Great Escape, which I'm now about halfway through, it is absolutely brilliant. Highly, highly recommend it to all of you. So it's about a boy called Hedley and a boy called Aidan and Hedley's sister Lily. Headley and Lily, their mum sadly died in an accident, and their dad's not coping, so they go to this centre every weekend to be looked after. And sorry, that is my daughter, who should be asleep in bed right now. Poppy, mummy's working. You can go and watch your iPad if you want to. So we've got the Not So Great Escape, and Poppy, goodbye. Sorry, I'm professional as always, never work for children or animals. So yes, Aidan is quite naughty. He steals an alpaca. Headley gets blamed for it. They go on the run. Headley doesn't want to leave his little sister behind, so they go on the run with her. Just comedy gold throughout. Like, I'm finding it funny as an adult. The alpaca is like a sensational character, like utterly ridiculous. You've got all these news, like social media extracts throughout, which are really funny, be great for kids to discuss. There's themes of loss, how different people cope with loss. Aidan, you find out, lives with his gran because his mum can't cope with him, and he mentions his dad quite a lot, but his stories of what his dad's done are like wild kind of adventures. Like, his dad survived in the wilderness for a year, his dad's a human rights lawyer, his dad's this, his dad's that, and he clearly desperately wants this amazing dad that he just doesn't have. So it's kind of about like how they're dealing with their own situations. The crazy alpaca, Headley's relationship with Lily. I'm halfway through, but it's very Jenny Pearson like. The characters are older, so the two main characters, Headley and Aidan, are both 12, whereas Jenny's characters tend to be late primary. So yeah, like, it's utterly brilliant. It's really funny, but there's a lot of kind of deeper issues within it, and highly recommend that book that is coming out in January. So we do various competitions around World Book Day, and the one that we are doing in 2026 is a repeat of what we did in 2025, but we have more goodie bags and the contents of them are the same roughly. So if you are a partner in the UK or Ireland, any primary school who books a World Book Day event with you before the end of the year, the first 175 to do so get a goodie bag. So there is a form that was in the World Book Day email that was sent to you guys on the 31st of October. You can claim a goodie bag on behalf of a school that's booked an event with you. So you need to fill in information like school's name, address, what the event is that they've booked with you and when that is. And then we post those goodie bags out to you. So if you have already got schools booked in, then please do enter them for this competition. If you haven't, and you're wanting to work with schools, I would reach out to them, see if they want you to enter this competition on their behalf so they can win a goodie bag of things for their school. Then on the website, there is a dedicated World Book Day page, which again, you can direct your schools and customers to. So this is what the page looks like. You've got resources on there. So all the books that are the picks will have resources available for them. So again, you can share those resources with schools as an added extra. And there's some like generic resources like World Book Day passport that kids can tick off different genres of books that they've read to do a bit of a like journey around the world of books. Then we have also got a recording that the author of Listening for Llamas, Zanna Davison, has done. So again, this is lovely for nurseries and preschools. I think like reception year 1 as well, it'd be really lovely for. So again, something to share with your schools and nurseries as an added extra for them. There are some blogs, again, that would be good to share with schools to help them plan their World Book Day that obviously talk about the role of you guys. There's quick links. There's Usborne Fact Force, which is free digital non-fiction events. So again, schools can do those. They can get the books mentioned in those events from you guys as well. On tools and downloads, there are lots of videos from other partners about World Book Day. There's lots of them that are about kind of general selling tips. There's lots of documents and resources of pre-made designed things that can be used, and more will be to come as we get closer and closer to World Book Day. If you are, again, if you've been asked to come into a school to do a launch assembly for World Book Day, there's lots of author videos that you could play in your school assembly if the author's talking about their books. Or again, it might be that you send a video a week to schools in the run up to World Book Day so they can get their kids really excited about celebrating all things reading. And we will be regularly in contact with you guys to remind you of everything available to you. So you are definitely not alone. You've got lots of head office support. You've come to this training session or you're watching it back, which shows that you are keen to make the most of World Book Day. And also use your mentor. If you are a new partner, use your mentor. It's what they're here for. It is their job to help you succeed. And this is one of your best opportunities in the calendar year to succeed. The pound voucher. Schools and nurseries can register to receive a World Book Day pack, which includes resources and tokens for their pupils. Home educators and childminders can also receive a digital token pack. McDonald's tend to have them every year as well. You can accept £1 tokens to offer customers £1 off the price of any Usborne book. It is unrestricted. Again, you have either just had an email or it will be dropping next week. I know I've seen an email. It just may have not have gone out yet, which explains our deadlines for the vouchers. So the kind of claim period you can have for these vouchers. But basically, it's a great reason for someone to shop with you because just like a bookshop, you can offer them £1 off any book of their choice. Before I hand over to Danielle to talk about kind of everything World Book Day from a real life experience of her actually doing the events, I wanted to share why what you do is important. I think if you're ever kind of wanting to do social posts, just highlighting why what you guys do is so important. It's always worth looking at the National Literacy Trust's latest survey. So their 2025 survey found the following, which is quite depressing, but you guys can do something about it. So in 2025, the percentage of children who told the National Literacy Trust they enjoyed reading was at its lowest in 20 years. Just 1 in 3 children aged 8 to 18 said they enjoyed reading in their free time. And the drop in reading enjoyment over the last year has been especially steep among primary age children and boys, particularly boys aged 11 to 16. So quite stark statistics. So lowest reading for enjoyment in 20 years. And the drop is especially steep in primary age children, which is so sad because usually you go to primary schools and it's just full of joy, and boys. So boys and primary age children. They said in terms of reading frequency, fewer than 1 in 5 8 to 18-year-olds read something daily in their free time. And even among children aged 5 to 8, daily reading rates have dropped in the past year to less than half of children are either reading or being read to daily. Girls read more than boys, and we've got the largest gender gap seen since 2023 between girls and boys. Statistically, I can't remember for how many years, but girls outperform boys academically. The biggest indicator or biggest thing that any parent can do to help their child succeed is to read with them. So reading is the biggest indicator of how successful a child will be academically. And so if girls are reading more than boys, then that gender gap will just widen. More children not receiving free school meals read daily than those who do receive free school meals. There's a gender gap and there's an economic gap as well. They then said, what would motivate you to read more? So this is 8 to 18-year-olds they asked. 2 in 5 children and young people are motivated to read when material related to their favourite film or TV series or match their interests or hobbies. We don't tend to have many books that are related to film or TV, but we do have lots that are related to interests or hobbies. Hence, you'll see 50 football skills flying off the shelves around World Book Day. You'll see books like Kick doing really well that are football themed. You'll see animal books doing really well as well. 3 in 10 were drawn in by an interesting book cover or title. So again, we have fab book covers. The Tamsin Winter book covers, I think, tend to draw kids in particularly, and book covers like 21% Monster, where it's quite cool. The Ravina Guron ones are really good. And this one, I think, is where you guys are super important because 1 in 4 valued having the freedom to choose what they read. So schools are the leveler for reading, because the free books that you provide for schools when they have their events mean that children whose parents can't afford to buy them a book or don't want to spend their money on books have that choice of what they're reading, which is so, so important. And I think this is, again, why what you guys do is really important. The £1 books are amazing that World Book Day do, that every child can literally swap a token for a book, but they're not the same range of choice that you're able to provide. They're not the same range of books that you can put in a school library that all children can read and access. And if children have more choice, then they would do better. And I think one of the reasons why the gender gap is so wide as well, which you must have noticed at your events, or you will notice, is that there is this fixation on fiction. I personally love fiction, so does my daughter. But boys don't always like fiction. That's a broad generalization, but statistically, it's like they are statistically less likely to like fiction than girls. And if they're constantly pushed towards fiction, that's going to turn them off reading. Usborne started off as a non-fiction publisher. That's our bread and butter. And we have amazing non-fiction series like the 24 Hours series, the 100 Things to Know, Lots of Things to Know, The Biggest, Fastest, Tallest, Animal Records. The list goes on and on. We have amazing non-fiction, and that is one of you guys' most key selling points, I would say, is why people should go for you guys over Scholastic. It's why people should want an Usborne partner at their school, because of what you can offer in terms of non-fiction that's going to engage those children that are dropping off reading, not because they don't like reading, it's because they don't like fiction generally. And that's what you guys can offer them. And also, the older they get and the more they get pushed into GCSE topics, even the ones that do like fiction are more put off it because of the books that they're forced to read at school, giving them kind of little freedom to read anything else, which is why I think our YA books are so amazing, like the Raveena Gurron books, the Holly Bourne books, the like Royal Scandal books, like just brilliant for giving kids a bit of light relief from their GCSE texts. So that is why you do what you do. And now we're going to hear from Danielle, who has, I'd say, kindly volunteered. She didn't volunteer, I asked her, but she kindly agreed to talk about her World Book Day experiences. So over to you, Danielle.
Hey everyone. That was lovely to listen to, Lucy. And do you know what? There was a few bits you said there that really kind of resonated with things I've seen recently, because I was literally doing a book fair the last couple of days at a school. And I think the big thing about the kids will read something that they're interested in is huge, because I saw a few kids pick up books that they were really excited about, and their parents would be like, oh no, I don't like the look of that, I think you should have this instead. And you could see the kids were a bit, oh. And so I always try and encourage, when I'm talking to parents or I'm doing pop-ups and things like that, to be like, don't try and go for something that you think they should be reading, go for what they really enjoy, because that is what's really going to encourage them to read. So yeah, that really resonated, and I really noticed a lot with the non-fiction as well, the kids picking up that in the book fairs this week as well. So I always make sure I've got a lot of that. But yeah, so I'm just going to talk a little bit about schools and why I love working with schools so much. It's the main focus that I look at within my business. It's what I really enjoy doing, and there's a number of reasons. The main reason is I just love what I call like the feel-good factor that I get from working with schools. I love the sound of the kids coming in when they're looking around at all my books, and you hear that, all books, and they're so excited. They often tell me I've got the best job in the world, and they wish that they had all my books at home, and it must be amazing being in my house with all my books. So that feeling that I get of being in the schools and seeing all the kids really enjoying looking at my books, just like, that's a big part of what I do it for. Obviously, the other part is how many free books I can get for the schools. And I'm a little bit of a spreadsheet geek, so I actually did a little spreadsheet to look back over the last few years at what I'd been doing with schools, so I could work out how many kind of free books I'd got them. And I worked out, so I joined at the beginning of 2023. I only really started working with schools at the end of 2023, so it's been 2 academic years. And I worked out I'd given away about £26,000 worth of free books to schools. That's just the free books as well, not books that were done through like book fairs where parents were buying and stuff. So just to know that I've put that many free books into schools, again, the feel good factor from that is absolutely incredible. And then the other main reason for myself, because obviously at the end of the day, this is a business and I am here to kind of look after myself and my family. So for me, financially, it's kind of, I feel like it's the easiest way to earn the most money in terms of with me and my business. They can be long days and things like that with book fairs, but what you can get out of it the other side for just doing something for a couple of days can be really significant. So yeah, they're the main reasons that I really enjoy working with schools. And I just had a quick look actually, because I didn't prepare this beforehand, but when Lucy mentioned about it being kind of the most, I can't remember what you said, but the I don't know if you said the most profitable or when the books are most sold and stuff around World Book Day. So I quickly opened my spreadsheet. And if I look at March 24, I did a number of events. And if I just look here, in that just the month of March, my figures are just under 7,400 in terms of either the amount of books that were sold at book fairs and a combination with RSR sponsorship as well. So that's nearly 7,500 in 24. And then in 25, it was just over 5,000, 5,200. So that's just in 1 month with World Book Day. So you can see how much of a difference it really makes. So this year I was fully booked for the week of World Book Day. I actually had a school that I did a two-day book fair for the week before World Book Day, because they have World Book Day week in the lead up to it. So I did a 2-day World Book Day book fair for them. And that was, I got that booking through a friend of mine whose child goes to that school. He happened to be helping out in the library, sent me a picture of their horrendously old books and said these need updating. So he got me in with the librarian and I got in there. And that was a particularly, what's the word? That was a particularly good one for me in terms of how it made me feel afterwards, because the head teacher was extremely old school, to the point that some of the staff were telling me that they don't even kind of use a bank account. Well, they do use a bank account. They don't use bank cards or anything. So they had to wait 3 months for their boiler to be sorted out because she insisted on paying everything by cheque. And she'd been there for about 20 years and everything was the way it was. And that was the way it had been for 20 years. So the fact that I'd even got in was huge. And when she came round and looked at the book fair, she'd been using Scholastic for absolutely years. And she was over the moon with the book fair that I did and immediately rebooked me for next year, so February 2026. So that was, for me, that was an absolutely incredible one, because I was like, I've turned somebody around who was kind of against any type of change, and she was really excited about it. So that was a good one, and it was great sales as well. The parents absolutely loved it and loved the different range of books and things that we can offer, because I know, Lucy, you've done a thing before when you're I think your daughter's or your kids' school did Scholastic, and the difference in the books that we can offer is incredible. So that was a 2-day book fair, and like I said, they've rebooked me straight away again for next year, so I've already got that booked in for the end of February. I also did a 2-day book fair and a RSR at my son's school. So my boys go there, so that's how I got in there. But their school is actually split between infants and juniors, and I had never been able to get in with infants before, and this year I've now managed to get in with infants as well, which is really, really good, just because the head teacher is really difficult. But I've managed to get in with them again this year as well. So I did a 2-day book fair and I did a Ready Steady Read with them this year, and again they have rebooked me straight away for next year as well, and I'm now including the infants as well. So that was really, really good. I also did a book fair at a secondary school, which they're never quite as successful in secondary school as primary school, but they can still be really good. I find selling the books on the day really helps with book fairs at secondary school. And they were still really grateful for all the books that they got for free from that. And I actually did another one at a secondary school. It wasn't quite around World Book Day, it was just afterwards, but I have done stuff for World Book Day for them before. And through talking to the librarian there, I actually got quite a big direct order from them as well, which I was able to add on to what we did for the book fair. So they were able to get some more free books. So that was really good. So it just shows you kind of just talking about what you're doing and what you can offer and what else you can do really helps as well. I also did one at another primary school, and I got this one by going along to their summer fair. So I saw it advertised, went along to their summer fair, got some half decent sales at their summer fair, took along one of my little packs that I make up with me, which just has like the school's leaflet in it, a seasonal leaflet, a little letter about what I offer. I usually put in a little free book from my reading libraries, a little pack of Biscoff biscuits and a tea bag. And yeah, so I sent that in. They were really interested and they got me in. What was slightly different with them is they didn't feel that the kind of traditional book fair would work with their parents. So what they wanted to do was buy in books and then just have me there to sell them on the day. And that was really, really successful. And again, they have rebooked me again for next year again. I've actually done theirs 2 years running and they've booked me in for next year as well. So what I did is they told me their budget and I got them to send me over the money. And then I just bought loads of books and the box sets and stuff that are on special offer. So all like the Lift the Flat books that are on special offer, the sets of books that we get, the reading libraries and stuff. So the school bought all those. They then got the free book allowance to get books for their school. And then they then sold those books at the cost price to the children at the school. So the school were able to get the free books for themselves. Obviously, I got the sales from them purchasing all of those books, and then I just went along on the day to help them sell those to the kids. And the kids just came in with their cash, and they had the opportunity to buy £1 books up to kind of £4.50 books from the class sets and stuff. So that was really, really, really successful. And they absolutely loved that. And the kids loved coming in with their money and going around and choosing their little books. And what was the other thing I had? The other one I had was another local primary school who actually contacted me via the website. So they wanted to get an Usborne partner in. They looked it up on the website. They had a little bit of a look through. The teacher actually said that a couple popped up. She read my profile, which she said she really liked. I really resonated with her. So I went to there, and again, I did a book fair for one day, and I also did a Ready Steady Read again, and that was really successful with them as well. So, and she's since left that school and gone to another school, and has already said to me about going over and working at the new school. So we're working on that at the moment. So that was everything I had this year. As I've mentioned, there's 1, 2, 3 who have already rebooked me again for next year. And there was actually another one I was going to mention who I haven't done anything else with around World Book Day, purely because they were so successful in the first year that I think they actually struggled to spend it. So the one of the first years that I did, when I had that huge sales, I did another primary school who did a book fair and a Ready Steady Read. Sorry, I'm just looking at my spreadsheet here. And so they held a book fair where there was over £1,800 worth of sales. And they did a Ready Steady Read as well, which the children raised £3,750 at their Ready Steady Read. So when you added all of that together, they had something like just under £7,000 to spend on books, which took them a little while to spend. So I've been doing a book fair again. I went there again this week, and they get me in now to do a book fair with their parents' evening in the autumn term, which is really nice. So I've got 2 new ones for March 2026. One of them is actually with a head teacher who was the head of the very first book fair that I ever did in October 23. She's now left and gone to a different school, so I've been working on her for a while. She's now booked me in for a book fair in March next year at her school. So I'm looking forward to doing that. And I've got another one, which actually I only got booked this week, which was really good because it was actually off of the back of a little information pack. So the little information pack that I mentioned I did, that I take along to summer fates and stuff, I always have a bundle of those with me. And I do a little pop-up at a sports centre near me that have a toddler group running there. So I'm out in the reception of the sports centre. So I get all the parents who are going past the toddler groups, but I also get lots of grandparents and people like that who are going to do like yoga and all different sports sessions and stuff. I got talking to a lady there. She happened to just mention, within nothing to do with it, that she was a teacher. So I was like, oh, spoke to her about it. It turns out that she actually works at a school that I've already been trying to get in, but she said she'll go and give another kind of second word to them to try and get me in. But what I didn't realise was that she didn't mention was that she's married to the head teacher of another local primary school. She went home, told him all about what I told her because she thought it was really exciting. He stole her little pack, took it into his school, gave it to his English lead, and went, get in quick before they do. So the English lead contacted me last Friday, asked me in for a meeting on Monday. So I went in to speak to her, and they have booked me in for a book fair and a Ready Steady Read for World Book Day. They've taken my last slot for World Book Day week next year. So yeah, lots of different things going on, and lots of different ways that I've kind of got those leads and got in with the schools as well. So kind of one size doesn't fit all. The main thing that I do is just always talk about what I do and talk about what I can offer. If I've got a little pop-up, I've got a regular pop-up at a hospital, and sometimes people will be like, oh, what's this all about? What's this for? And I'm like, oh, I'm here to sell the books, but I'm also here to talk about what I do with schools. I work lots of stuff with schools and do sponsored reads, because you just never know who you're talking to. So I just make sure I'm always talking to people about what I do and not just focusing on what I'm doing in that particular moment. And then what I try and do throughout the year is just try and kind of maintain that relationship with schools that I have made contact with. So as I've already said, I try and rebook straight away with any schools that I've done any work with, talk to them about what they might want to do in the future. I'll always do some follow-up things, seeing if they want to do something else, like talk about author events that I can offer them, any special offers that we've got going on, just to keep that conversation going. Even if they don't reply to me because they're busy, it's just kind of planting that seed of, I'm still here. I also did create at the end of the last school year a Google form as well. So I sent that around to all of the schools that I'd worked with and just asked for feedback on everything from my communication beforehand, all the documentation that I did, how it went on the day, any feedback that they'd had from parents, any feedback they'd had from children, anything they thought I could do better, just a few different, it sounds like quite a lot, but it was a Google form kind of to select their answers. And it was really helpful for me to get their kind of feedback. And I also put a section in there about, would you be interested in doing any of these things in the future, and when's the best time to contact you? So I can then use that as an opportunity to get back in touch with them and book some future things. And it's not something I've got out yet, I have to admit, but I have also been putting together a newsletter that I'm planning on sending termly, so I can then shout about what other schools have done, so other schools can see what other schools have earned in free books, if that makes sense. And also, again, just talk about special offers, maybe highlight any new authors, talk about author events and stuff that I do, and that kind of thing. So again, it's just a way of trying to maintain that relationship and keep in contact with them. I'm conscious of time, so I'll just very quickly, I just wrote down a few kind of my top tips in terms of working with schools, and particularly for World Book Day. So I would say, even though this is about World Book Day, don't necessarily just focus on World Book Day and that week. Talk to them about what else you can offer at different times as well. And I also always say, spread it out a little bit. So, for example, this school this week, when they said they wanted to do a Ready Steady Read, I was like, do you want to start that before World Book Day so that you can end it around that time? Or do you want to kick it off on World Book Day so it's ending afterwards? Because it's also helpful for you to be able to spread, you don't want to spread yourself too thin. So if you can spread it out a little bit across the kind of few weeks across World Book Day, then I find that works really well in terms of your sanity around that time. What was I going to say? Follow-ups was the biggest thing for me. Some of the schools that I've been in contact with, I've had to follow up for months and months. A couple of schools, it's even taken a year or so before I've finally got in with them and been able to work with them. And what I always say to people, and say to people in my team or anyone who asks, is I just keep on going until someone blocks me or tells me to go away. Because schools are busy places. I don't work in a school, I never have, but I've been around, I'm in the PTA, and I've spoken to people, and like they're really, really busy, and what you're offering them is amazing. And I think more often than not, they see your email pop up or they remember your conversation, but then 50 other things happen and you go to the bottom of the list. So I've sent emails before that have literally just been, hello, I'm still here, just wanted to remind you I'm still here, and when you've got time, come back to me. And more often than not, they will reply at some point and just be like, thank you so much. I'm so grateful for you persevering. Like, I really wanted to do this with you. I just needed to make sure the time was right. So just don't feel like you're nagging them or annoying them. Obviously, if they tell you bluntly, go away, then that's different. But I've not actually ever had that happen. So keep on persevering, keep on talking to them. Get out and about with your books. As I said, I've been booking more pop-ups this year, pop-ups at hospitals and toddler groups and in offices and things like that. And I've got lots of different school leads from that, and just from talking to people and talking to frogs, I was going to say friends and family, all the different kinds of frogs that you can think of. Just talk to everyone about what you do. I found out, again, one of my friends the other day is actually a governor at the school. So I've mentioned it to him to try and get in there. And like I said, there's been a couple where schools have actually contacted me via the website because they've searched for an Usborne partner and then found me in their local area. So it's really important to be making sure that you're getting active every month, because obviously if you're not getting active, then you're not going to be searchable in the system. So there's opportunities that I would have lost if I wasn't active and they hadn't found me on the system. And what's come up recently a few times is that people have said, and this has come from schools, and it's also come from a couple of people who've been recruited into my team as well, who've found me via the website, is that they really liked what I'd put in my bio on my website. I don't necessarily think it's anything particularly amazing, but I think just the fact that I've been quite personal in there about just me and my experience and what I do, and that I'm a mum with boys, it's really resonated with them. So if you haven't got anything on there, just make sure that you've got something on there that's going to hook people in, because that's what's going to pull them in with you. And the last thing was to just part of getting out and about. If you want to be getting in with schools, that first year I did a lot of going to school fairs this time of year, going to Christmas fairs, taking along a little pack of information, talking to people while you're there, so that you're using that opportunity to get in. Don't just look at it in terms of selling the books on the day. I think that's it. I tried to say it really quickly. I was really conscious of time as well, so I hope that's been helpful.
That was so helpful, Danielle. Thank you so much. There's been quite a few questions come up, which I know we've allowed time for questions. So I'm going to go through those with you, if that's okay. And thank you to partners who were answering as we went along as well. Actually, there's one question that I can answer, which was about, will any of the nursery books be made into a stories with symbols? Unfortunately not. I think that we did reach out to Stories with Symbols and share our book list with them, but they, due to personal reasons, don't have capacity to produce a video for any of them. So unfortunately, there won't be any new Stories with Symbols content for World Book Day. Could you explain a bit more how you do Ready Steady Reads? Because there's some really new partners on here, which is great.
Yeah. So what I tend to do is I offer to go in and do an assembly. I know that's not everybody's thing, so you don't have to do it, but I find it works really, really well because it gets the kids really excited. I've just got like a little template presentation, so they have that up on the screen more to kind of guide me and keep me on track, and I just explain to the children what it's all about in terms of them going away and reading as much as possible over a week or 2 weeks, raising lots of money to get the school free books. And what I usually do as well is I suggest to the school that we have prizes. So we have prizes for the children who've raised the most money and children who have read for the most minutes. And I usually stick to reading for the most minutes, because obviously one child could read 10 books and another child might only read half a book, depending on their reading ability. And then a little bit of the sponsors, they agree at the beginning that some of the sponsorship money can then be used to get those books. And I usually try again and get any special offers that are on, or if there's a sale on, I get some stuff on, or stock that I've got, and have a little certificate for them. And that works really well in terms of getting them excited about it. And I also usually put in the letter that goes out to parents, I have my own QR code, and I say that anybody who would like to come along and follow my social media, I post during the Ready Steady Read on my stories a challenge every day or every couple of days. So something like make a den and read a book under your den, or read to your cuddly toy, or something like that. And again, it's just something to get them excited about every day. And I have had some schools where that's been tumbleweed and no one's done it at all. And I've had other schools where, like, 20 children have got involved, and their parents have been like, oh my God, they've been so excited to come and send you their picture. So sorry, I've probably gone off on a bit of a tangent then, but yeah, so that's what I try and do: go in and do an assembly, get the children excited about it, and get them motivated to take part. And going back to the kind of feel good factor at the beginning, I suggest that the schools do a special reader award as well. So they pick children who maybe haven't read for the most minutes or raised the most money, but have gone above and beyond, maybe didn't read a lot before and have got really involved. And some of the feedback I've got from schools about the children who've got involved who would never normally go near books, again, I'm like, that is worth it in itself, because I've got some children reading, even if it's only a handful of children that maybe wouldn't have picked up a book before. So yeah, that feels really good.
I think there's some really, really great tips there as well, because I think some people are maybe sometimes disappointed with their ready, steady reads, and then other people have phenomenal successes, but it is kind of like what you make of it. And obviously you've had some really successful ones just from getting the kids, and kids pester, don't they? Like kids will come home and tell, like, my daughter doesn't tell me that much about what she's learned other than in history at school, but I know that she's a star in the nativity and she needs a Ruddy Star costume. She's told me that a lot of times. So I think like they will pester, and if you've gone in and done the assembly and they know what it is rather than just sending a letter home, because yeah, my daughter will remind me what's in her school bag, what she needs, what letters she's got, and could be a girl thing. I don't know. You've got two boys, Danielle. I don't know how much they remind you.
I think the boys get just as excited about it. So yeah. And what I always reiterate to them as well in the presentation is, if you don't love picking up a book, it's just about reading. So read the street signs as you're walking down the road, that counts. Read the back of your cereal packet as you're eating your cereal in the morning. Read a comic, bake with your parents at the weekend and make a recipe. You're reading the recipe. So I also say, like, if you're having a bit of chill out time at the weekend, put the subtitles on while you're reading a movie. It all counts. Every minute counts. And I think that really helps with the children getting involved, because they don't feel like they've got to go and pick up this big chapter book and read lots of stuff for a book, even though that's what we're trying to encourage. But I think taking that away actually makes them want to do it more.
And you mentioned as well, actually, it's nice that Helen has put a similar comment of actually working with the secondary school. While your sales might not be as good for the actual event, they have the budget to place direct orders much more than primaries would. So, and I think you said that a few times, didn't you? It's not necessarily what you get from the event. It's like what the event gives you in terms of leads or future orders or future bookings.
Yeah, definitely. And I find with secondary schools, it's just getting to know them as well. Like one of the ones I went to, the first time I went, I spent 2 days there, and I think I sold about 50 quid. It was rubbish. But we worked out I was in the wrong place. The kids weren't going past. So the next time I went, they put me in a classroom down in the hallway. We had music playing, we had signs up, and I think I did about 200, 250, and the kids were really enjoying it. So yeah, it's just about not necessarily giving up straight away as well, just finding what works with those children and with that school.
Which is, yeah, a really nice message. And like, especially if you're new as well, if starting any business, it's not going to earn you like hundreds of thousands, but like, it's not going to earn you a fortune straight away, but actually it's learning from it and actually, yeah, not giving up. And the most successful people are the people that don't give up and they do try. And you wouldn't have had that £250 if you'd given up.
No, and that was actually the school where I was persevering for about a year, going, hello, I'm still here. And she thinks I'm incredible now. She's given me some lovely, lovely feedback. She's recommended me to other people. She's done direct orders. She wants to get me in for an author event. So there's so much more that has come from it, just from persevering and not giving up after that first book fair and going, well, that was rubbish. I'm never going to do that again. So, yeah.
So we've got a partner, and again, it's really lovely seeing so many new partners on here, saying, do you need to have loads of stock or do you generate sales through the catalogue? What would you recommend if someone was new and they were doing a book fair? Like, how would you recommend they did it?
I would just say do whatever works for you. I mean, now I have built up quite a bit of stock, so I do have stock that I take along. But obviously when I was first starting, I didn't have a huge amount. And I find that making sure that you've got a virtual link open whenever you do a book fair is really, really successful. And there are so many parents who can't come along and do, it was about book fairs you asked, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I haven't gone off on a tangent, yeah. there's so many parents who are working, can't get to the book fair, have got other kids or clubs that they've got to go to. So having that virtual link open and making sure that the school are shouting about it, that the parents are, the teachers are reminding the children in the classroom, that if you can get in with the PTA, find out if they've got a PTA, ask them to send a message out with the link on. You can have really, really successful sales just from the virtual link as well. So you don't necessarily need to have a huge amount of stock. Obviously, if you've got stuff there for people to look through, then that's brilliant. But yeah, it doesn't have to be huge.
I'm thinking about to actually, again, if you did a parents' evening, the expectation is like you'd maybe have less stock than you would for like a whole school book fair. I know partners borrow books from the library. If you're taking orders, so obviously Danielle, you sound like you do some way you sell from stock. Do you sell from stock or do you take orders or both?
I did my first book fair at a school today where I sold from stock, but generally I do it through orders. So
Yeah,
yeah.
so therefore you wouldn't necessarily need the stock. So some people will take books off their kids' bookshelves as long as you check that they're still in stock. And
Mhm.
again, if you're ordering, see what your kids have got or your friends' kids have got, use those books and then like take orders from them, borrow as many books as you can from your local library, take orders from those, utilize the books you've got, utilize your free books to get books to place orders. So you could quite quickly have a reasonable amount of books to show without spending lots of money. And then when you get your first order, you'll be able to you've gradually built yours up, Danielle, haven't you? With
I have, yeah. And printing off posters as well, all the special offers and stuff that we've got, I'll print those out and pin them up on the wall and stuff like that as well. So I haven't got necessarily have those books, but I've got the posters up to show them what they can get.
And then, so there's a question about the book fair that you did where the school bought in the box sets and then they sold the books just from the box sets. Could you explain like
Yes,
that literally what they did and what was their reasoning for wanting to do that?
they just didn't feel that doing your traditional book fair and getting the parents to buy the books as they are would work with their parents for whatever reason. And to be fair, we did do a thing where they invited all the parents to come along and there was hardly any sales. So I guess they know their parents, but they just wanted to do it. And I think they wanted to do it as well because it was on World Book Day and all the kids were going to be dressed up. And they found in the past that things have been really successful in getting the kids to come along and do it themselves. So they wanted to do it where the kids brought in their cash and they would come in and choose their book and take it home with them there and then, rather than doing your traditional book fair where you take orders. So we had to think about how we could do it, and they're an academy, so I was really lucky in that sense. So they were able to have the budget and say we've got this budget that we'll spend. So they said, I can't remember what it was now. I think it was about £800 or £900 that we spent. So I brought in all special offers so like the reading libraries, for example, there's 40 books in there for £40, let's say. And so they work out £1 each so that the children were able to buy those books for £1. So there was no profit made by the school. They literally bought those sets and then sold them at the prices that they would have got them at, so that all children had an opportunity to buy a book who might not necessarily have got one if they were buying one that was £6.99 or £10.99, for example. And then at the end of the event, once all the books had been sold, I was then able to obviously reimburse the school, but I'd earned my commission when I placed the order, if that makes sense.
Hopefully that makes sense. And actually, that's quite smart. Particularly, maybe that could be a solution as well for a school that tells you they're in a lower budget area, or maybe parents don't have as much money. Actually, that's something that I wouldn't have necessarily thought of offering, of
No,
buying the box set, splitting them, selling them for the discounted rate.
I didn't either, because obviously I've got in my head, well, you're not supposed to be selling them, but I was like, well, you're actually buying them yourself for that, and then you're just selling them at the cost price. So as long as we're not showing any profit, then you're free to do with the books what you want. They just asked me to go along to actually be there on the day to sell it, and the kids absolutely loved it. And like I said, it's going to be the third year in a row. And what's really lovely again is like you'll get some kids who'll come over where their parents have clearly gone down the back of the sofa and they've got like 79p, and I'm like, it's fine. Or you'll get other kids where their friends are crying because they haven't got any money and they'll ask me for a refund, and they'll split their money with their friends and they're sharing their books. And again, things like that, I'm just like, oh, that just makes my day seeing that.
Yeah, and actually, like the class sets make fiction like much cheaper as well. They're
Yeah.
like loads of special offers that actually, yeah, school could do that. Like that's really interesting.
And
Um,
now I've got it on a regular every year. I look at things when there's a sale on and stuff like that and bulk buy some of the stuff because I know that I've got it coming. So,
we've had a question, probably maybe we've got time for two more questions. There was one which is what's in your information pack?
so in my information pack, I put one of the leaflets that we can get, got them here, you know, like those that we can get from our stationery. I put in a seasonal leaflet. I put in a letter that I've put together, which is basically the same as what I would send in an email, just kind of introducing myself, explaining what I can offer in terms of a book fair at RSR, what free books they could get, examples of other events that I've done. And when I first started, before I'd done it, I used other people's examples of, oh, I'm aware that this has been raised before or something like that. And then I sometimes, if I've got some lying around, put in a free book for them from the reading library. There's sometimes a couple in there that I've just got lying around left over from things. So I'll put that in there. And then I just put a tea bag and a little pack of Biscoff biscuits. And I'll put a little note in just saying, like, I'll put it in like a bright pink envelope or something. So if they put it down on their desk, it's not going to get lost under other things. And I'll put a little note in to just kind of say, like, have a little relax and have a read of this. And I think that works really well because an email can get lost under 50 other emails, as we all know, whereas that bright pink envelope with that tea bag and that biscuit, it stays in their mind. And I've had teachers who have contacted me themselves. They've sent me the email saying, I'm really interested in this, rather than me chasing them about it. So yeah, I found that quite successful.
And final question, how do you arrange an author event?
Um, in terms of how we get it booked, I guess.
So
Or
could you tell us about an author event like you did and like did the school express an interest and how did you go about picking the author and like selling the books?
I did one this year. Again, it was with my son's school, so I'd already been talking to them about book fair and RSR. And I think because they'd got so many free books through the events, they actually had some extra budget, so they wanted to book author events. So I sent them the author brochure. They had a look through, picked some that they liked the look of, and then asked me to kind of go away and find out from the authors kind of how much it was going to cost, travelling expenses, all of that. We found out who was more local. I went back to her with a short list and we picked the ones that we wanted, got that booked in direct with the author. And then I offered a pre-sale of the books. Personally, that didn't go down very well at my son's school. They're not very good at that, but I've noticed when they've done other author events that there's a queue out the door. So I made the decision to pre-buy some of the books. So then after the author event, I sat outside with the author and we then just sold the books there and then. So I had to make a little bit of a judgment. And then if they sold out, then I could just say to people, I'll order them for you and deliver them back to the school.
I know quite a few people have said that they've done the same thing where they actually haven't had that many pre-orders, so they
No,
took a gamble, ordered books in, and they did sell them. Um,
I've done it twice and it's worked really well because they're super excited once they've met the author.
so yeah, there's one question about partners redeeming World Book Day tokens. You'll get an email which will give you all this information, but essentially it's a code which you actually I don't even know if it's a code anymore. I think it's just a drop down. You just put the number of World Book Day tokens. So you collect the tokens in essentially. When you place your order, there'll be an option for you to say how many tokens you've got related to that order. You put that number in and then the money gets, so say you have 27 tokens, £27 will get taken off the order. A reminder that comes off your volume as well. So if you've done £150 order, but then you've got like, I don't know, 15 World Book Day tokens, that would reduce your order to 135. If you're unsure, talk to your mentor and make sure, if it's your first order of World Book Day tokens, make sure your mentor, you've sent them some screenshots so they can make sure you're getting everything you need from that order. The office will randomly ask people to send in their World Book Day tokens. We used to ask everyone to send them all in. We don't do that anymore. It's just random. So keep them to one side, your physical tokens, just shove them somewhere. And because you might randomly get asked to send yours in just so we can count up the number of tokens against. the money that's been redeemed. But you will get emails. And if you're unsure, also email partner.support@usborne.co.uk and just ask, and someone will answer your question. But massive thank you to Danielle. I'm going to stop recording.